This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk. This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Brother, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Yeah.
Charmander. Or you're more of a Charmeleon guy.
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what
Schlecht?
it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. Before we get to our special guest, I want to tell you about my friends, Aaron and Drew Reese at Shelter Insurance. Give Drew a call or a text today, 405-478-7714. Give Aaron a text or a call, 405-773-5500. Today, listen, I know you have a nice car. I know you have a nice house. And you know what? You should protect both of those things by having good people to help you. And Aaron and Drew are just the guys for you. So give them a call or text today. They're huge Thunder fans. So you might call them, say, hey, man, Thunder up and help me get some good car insurance or some good home insurance. You should do that today. Support the people that support Down to Dunk. With me today and on Friday this week is my good friend, Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder and the OKC Dream Team and Thunder on SI. Rylan, what's up, dude?
What's up, Andrew? I'm happy to be here. A little double dip action.
That's right. I ran into your friend Darius Baisley at the casino.
Wow.
In Vegas. And
how's old building block doing?
He's doing great. Big old smile on his face. He was doing well. I almost just like FaceTimed you.
That would have been an honor.
We're doing a Reddit mailbag. Thank you to everybody at R-Thunder for your help with this. So we're going to answer as many questions as possible. There are a ton of questions, though, so I cannot promise that we'll get through every single one, but we will try. We will try to do this. Okay, so we're going to go by who's got the most upvotes. It's a very simple way to do it if you know how Reddit works.
Democracy.
That's right. That's the simple way to do it. Initial Dash Deal 9045 asks, any chance Dort gets an extension this summer?
I mean, there's always a chance. I mean, it's technically allowed to happen, therefore there's a chance. I wouldn't hold your breath, though, for it to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, it would have to be a extremely favorable deal for the Thunder. And like that's basically how these like tertiary deals have to be for them. Is like, I mean, we talked to Sam about it at his presser because I wanted to know, like, hey, how did these deals come about with like Kenrich and Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, and like how did that happen? I mean, he said that they just have these like very collaborative meetings, and like it's very much it's not just like this one-sided thing. Like it's what do both parties want? And I think that's a question for Lou Dort and his people and for the Thunder. And I think that it's obvious that he was a massive part of the title and, you know, one of their top 5 or 6 players on the team. Like, yeah, you'd love to retain Dort for the long haul. But you also have other avenues to fill that slot, you know, when the time comes. And so I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they do, but would it surprise me if it happened? I wouldn't be totally surprised by it.
I do think that if they are going to extend him, just keep it under wraps until halftime of the OU Michigan game. And then just like reverse everything. You won a championship, you kept the big 3, and then during an OU game, you news dump something good. Hey, Lou Dort's sticking around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't trade Dort during that or something. That would be
Oh man,
I'd
Bryce Underwood's taking OU to the woodshed, and then all of a sudden Lou Dort gets traded. That'd be
I'd be heartbroken.
emergency pod.
Yeah.
Would that be Jay's worst ever day in life?
The James Harden trade?
Yeah, whenever didn't OU lose that game too? Isn't he an OU guy?
Yeah, he's an OU guy.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And listen, it's funny because, and you've talked about this on your show and everything, but it's like, listen, like when we're talking about like giving these guys all of their extensions, everybody's making max money. It's like we've actually seen the other side of the coin play out where it's like, hey, they've done instead of giving this guy the max, let's opt for flexibility. Let's opt for more options. And, the people that are like, is so-and-so worth this or so-and-so worth that? It's like, we've seen what the other side of the coin looks like. Why are we doing this? Like, don't do this. Don't talk about that. Like, just like celebrate that your team won the title and then everybody's staying. Like everybody just take it easy there.
My spin zone on the big contracts, by the way, I just do this while you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
What does flexibility mean for OKC and whenever they're not a free agent destination? To where, like, outside of Isaiah Hartenstein, even role players don't want to sign in OKC in free agency. So you would kind of keep that powder dry of like, oh, let's not give a max to somebody for the sake of improving the team down the road. Still, your only two avenues to improve the team is trading and drafting. And after 3 extensions, your only avenue for improving the team is trading and drafting. So you didn't really lose anything if you're Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and the aprons aren't going to affect the Thunder like they would other teams. So like everybody just like take a breath and enjoy your time. Okay.
Go get mad at Bleacher Report's top 100 rating today. Get mad at that if you want to get mad at anything.
Yeah, or just ignore it
Yeah.
altogether. That's what I'm doing. LG Mr. One asks, does Brooks Barnhizer get the Wiggins Mitchell treatment this year by getting an upgrade / extension to the main roster? And a second question, is Ousmane Dieng finished in OKC, and have you seen or heard any improvement in his game coming into season 4? Barnhizer has had a really fun summer league, and I think he's a Thunder player through and through. Like personality, check. Values, check. Guy that plays with a lot of heart, check. Defender, check. Guy that knows how to work off cuts, check. He's got to shoot it though. Like he's got to shoot it. And if he doesn't, I think it's it's a question, because it's hard to play on the Thunder and be a role player and just like not be a non-shooter from 3. So I think he's got to prove that he can shoot it before you just give him an extension. And then Oos, he's not. It's kind of over in my opinion. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on those two topics?
I think that they're kind of tied together. I think that the pathway for Brooks to fill in with AJ and Wiggins and the guys that have gotten their 2 ways converted is by him improving his shot, which Chip England does help out with the blue as well. So he'll have a lot of time with Chip, and he'll have a lot of time trying to work on that throughout this season. Mm-hmm. But it's also the trade deadline. It's like you're going to move on from Ousmane Dieng at some point between now and the trade deadline. And what you do in that trade, whether you just simply get Oos off of your books as a $6 million expiring deal, and that leaves open a roster spot, or if you bring somebody back in that deal that stays on your roster, like that's going to be what ends up determining Brooks' future this season in OKC. Because I think that that's the path for him, is that you need, like Brooks would need the trade with Oos to be, he's just simply gone, and maybe you bring back the equivalent of Daniel Tyson, cut him, and then you have an open spot and you can just go ahead and give it to Brooks Barnhizer. But it's going to have to hinge on Oos, and I don't think that Oos will be in OKC. I think that he still has a chance to be an NBA rotational player somewhere else. I think that if he can finally play consistently offensively, then he's a rotational player right now, because his defense is already NBA level. He just refuses to consistently play with force around the rim, attack hard to the rim off of cuts, and he can't really knock down, catch, and shoot threes at either level right now. Until those things come around, he's just not an NBA player at the moment. But I do think that there's still upside and possibility for other teams to try to explore him, and that's what would open up the pathway for Brooks Barnhizer.
Yeah, I mean, send Oos to the Jazz or to the Nets, and just like, hey, just see what happens. That's the kind of environment he needs to be in right now. Like it's hard. It was hard for him to hop on the moving train. In fact, it just didn't happen. And so, I think it makes sense to allow him to continue to figure out what he is, and then if Brooks is good, great. But let's also it's been a few summer league games, and summer league is not the most real, environment. So I don't know. We'll see. I like him a lot. Talked to him a few times. He's a delight. If he's good, I think he would be an absolute fan favorite. Like he's cut from the Caruso cloth. It's a similar kind of guy. And so if he makes it, I think that people would be just tickled if he could be a part of the team. Panicked Waddle asks, there have been many parallels between the Thunder team and the Warriors team from a decade ago. One of the issues they ran into is making deep playoff runs every year, and it put a lot of mileage on the players and cut down on the amount of offseason they had for recovery. Do you think OKC's depth can help them avoid the same issue? Do you think that we see a reduction in minutes for heavy usage guys like SGA, Dub, and Chet in the regular season if OKC gets off to a blazing start next year and is on pace to have a historic 70-plus wins? Does that change the load management strategies at all? Thoughts, Rye Guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to have to manage the roster and manage the minutes of this team. You played to the absolute last possible date of the NBA season, going to a Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and you played 83 regular season games a year ago. And if you look around the NBA Cup schedule, and I know, Andrew, you're not a big Cup guy anymore. I think that you're done respecting the Cup. I think you've sailed that ship. But you look around.
I'll be way back in whenever it starts again.
Good, because I think that you're going to go to Vegas again. I think that the Thunder are going to make the Vegas trip again because the pool that they're in, oh my gosh, the pool that they're in is just unbelievably easy for OKC. And I think that they're going to win enough games to get to Vegas, and who knows if they'll play another 83-game season. But regardless of if they actually do win their pool, we know that that's going to set up a part in January or February where the schedule is extremely condensed, and you're playing 3 games in 4 nights and back-to-backs, and it's just all happening all at once. And in those case scenarios, regardless of record, regardless of where you're at, you're going to have to, I think, get guys some time off and get guys some reduced minutes, whether they just don't play at all or you do just massage their minutes while they're playing. And there is an element of, like Caruso said, where the Thunder saved him from himself because there's only one way that he knows how to play, and it's very taxing. I think that a lot of guys on this roster share that sentiment of if they're on the court, they're going 100 miles an hour and they don't really take nights off while playing, to where you have to save them from themselves and not let them play. And then even if you're on pace to break the all-time wins record, which I don't think will be the case, but if you are, I don't think that the Thunder will let that influence them in their decision-making, because this season, whenever they were neck and neck with the Cavs of who's going to have home court throughout, for a team that you thought for sure would make a deep playoff run, they didn't change anything about themselves. They got home court throughout the playoffs because they just stayed to who they are. They didn't gun for or anything like that. They just so happened to be better than the Cavs. And I think that that's going to be the same approach of they're not going to let the chase of winning 74, 75, 76 games change who they are. And they're going to lean on that depth, and their depth might be good enough to outlast the rest of the NBA and still get the number 1 seed in the NBA. But I do think that they'll prioritize being fresh and being ready, because you're going to have to go through another long playoff run. This team's expected again to play deep into May, into June, and try to defend their title. And you just have to find ways to get these guys some rest.
Yeah. Also, I mean, Mark does a really good job of managing the roster, and he plays a lot of guys. And the fact is, they would kill teams, and Shea often wouldn't play fourth quarters. And so there's inherent rest. You look at the games played, it's 76 games is a lot of games, but he didn't play a ton of fourth quarters.
They missed a quarter of the fourth quarters of the season.
Yeah. So that will happen again. And so I just think that they're going to figure it out. Also, these are young guys. And I've talked to a lot of these guys before about, is this too many games, or what are your thoughts on that? We love playing basketball. We want to play. We just want to play. And so I know a lot of us think about the load management and stuff like that. And it obviously happens with Caruso. Caruso's older than all these guys, and he's had to deal with ticky-tack injuries here and there. And so it makes sense to load manage him because you need him in the playoffs. But these other guys are young and they still want to accomplish a lot of things. Shea and Dub and Chet, where we talk about those guys have a chance to be like all-time greats, period. All three of them. Shea is already that. Those other two are heading toward that. Like when it comes to that, like scoring a lot of points is a part of that. Like your rebound totals are a part of that. Your block totals are part of that. Like building up all of that is part of it. And what do you like? You have to play minutes and you have to play games in order to get there. And like the hope is that like all three of those guys play 70 plus games next year. You know, like that's the hope and the dream there. So yes, they will manage things, but a lot of it will be not necessarily within the game, but it's like, hey, we're not going to play you in the fourth quarter, or we're going to give somebody else a chance. Like AJ Mitchell's going to play minutes next year. That guy's ready. He's really good. I think Topic is going to play. And how do they find minutes for him? It'll be very interesting to see. But yeah, they'll be able to manage the roster because they do have depth. Make cocktails, not war. Says y'all should do a OKC Thunder win the championship shot with me. Winky face. Maybe we can get Jay and L-Man to do that with you.
Yeah. Those are the two candidates I think of when I think of taking shots. L-Man especially.
Come on, L-Man. I think L-Man will do it. Crown me 5 young Simba. Andrew, you are the GOAT. If Presti allowed you to select the player for the final two-way spot, who would you choose and why? I mean, Youngblood's the guy that really pops when you're watching this Summer League team. I think if the Thunder don't get him on a two-way deal, I think he'll sign a two-way deal with somebody else. I think he's looked that good. I'm a little partial to Gortman just because of his name mostly. I think the name Gortman on the back of a jersey would be awesome. Youngblood
layup package.
Yeah. I think Gortman can kind of go. I think he's fun. I think it's a fun player. I think that Gortman is a really fun G League player. I think he'd be great. He'll be great on the blue. As far as like two ways though, I think if we're talking about guys that are on the current Summer League team, which the Thunder don't just have to choose from that team, like they can go outside of that. But I would guess that Youngblood would be the guy, and that's who I would choose as well. I think that he's a very interesting player. I don't know if he is a guy that can necessarily like make a real roster, but he'd be great for Rye Guy. Watching him with the blue, I think
that'd be incredible.
I think he'd be a good blue player. So I think that's probably the direction that I would go.
Yeah,
with it. I'm honestly surprised they got Carlson back on a two-way. Were you surprised at that?
Not necessarily surprised. I mean, I think that his shot was like the Nets and the Jazz and the Raptors again, because he was with the Raptors 405. Like those teams just leaving a spot for him. And then as soon as the Nets drafted 5 guys and they kind of loaded up their roster, you knew that the likelihood of him getting a standard contract was kind of dead at that point. And then you're back to two-way deals. And I think that he probably did have offers from other two-ways. I don't know that, but you just look around the two-ways that are still open and the two-ways that have been signed, and he's better than a lot of those guys. But why change up the familiarity and the comfortability that you have with the Thunder? And he just came back to OKC on a two-way. So I wasn't too surprised about that. But in terms of who should be the third two-way guy, I do think it's all about the blue. Like this team is so deep that if you're leaning on your third two-way guy, something's gone terribly wrong. And so like it doesn't really matter. And then you break down how the G League like works. So I think that the candidates on the current Thunder Summer League team would be Leones, Youngblood, and Gortman. Leones, you already have his G League rights, so you don't really, and no one's going to, listen, all due respect to my guy Malachi Leones, he's a great guy, and he's a handshake guy. Before media avails at the blue, he'll shake my hand, then he'll go up there and talk. So he's a really nice guy. He's not going to get a two-way deal anywhere else.
He had a nice game the other day.
He did, and he's had a nice career in the G League and a nice cup of coffee with the Thunder on the NBA level. But they already have his G League rights, so he should be back in.
And he's Bizarro Poku, if we haven't said it yet. Like he's like the fact that
we know that you're biased towards Bizarro Pokus.
The fact that they gave him the number 17 is crazy to me.
He PJ Doziered Poku.
He already kind of looks like Poku, and he looks like Bizarro Poku, and then you put 17 on him, and then like you just can't unsee it. It's insane that they did that. And it had to have been done intentionally. Listen, you can tell me it wasn't done intentionally. I won't believe you.
Wow. Calling out your sources that you won't believe them. I'll believe anything that you tell me, by the way. Anyway, they already have Leones' G League rights, so you don't really need that. Gortman, I love Gortman. He was an awesome player for the Texas Legends last year in the G League. However, if Jemias Ramsey's agreeing to come back to the G League, which I have no reason to believe he won't, like the skill overlap from Ramsey and Gortman is just kind of redundant at that point.
And then Ramsey's rights.
Yeah. And then you have Chris Youngblood, who does give you functionality with the blue. Like they do not have, especially if they lose Miller Kopp, they do not have a true knockdown shooter. Plus, you have the element of like, if you do need to throw him into a few NBA games, he's also a really good shooter and he has an NBA trait, unlike the other two. But with Youngblood, the functionality that he gives you as a weapon off the ball to knock down threes helps you develop guys like Brooks Barnhizer. It helps you develop, if you add his shooting and Brandon Carlson shooting to the blue, not only do you help Brooks Barnhizer, if you need to send down Topic or Mitchell, and we know that the Thunder don't view that as a demotion. They kind of just view that as them getting opportunities to play because they don't like their guys just sitting around if they're not playing. And if those guys go down there, it just makes it so much easier for them to have guys who can shoot, guys who can capitalize off their playmaking, and really just allows you to be a better team. And the Thunder really care about that. They care about fleshing out an actual team in the G League that can actually help you develop, whereas other teams just kind of throw a conglomerate of like the best talent that doesn't necessarily fit together. The Blues very intentional with how they operate their roster. And that's why like those three to me are the three options. Plus my guy, Adam Flagler.
Flagman. Sad to see him wearing a Hawks jersey.
Yeah, that was really depressing. Although I like that he was still hanging around. Miller Kopp in a Pistons jersey was also weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Buddy Boeheim with the Pacers? How about that?
I saw your favorite player, Buddy Boeheim, playing.
He has really grown on me with the blue. I will give him that credit.
Wow. We'll move on from that. Kellen _.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about growing in blue together because that leads to other things.
We do.
I don't think that they're a sponsor of this show.
They're not. So my wife wants to know how we improve next year. Did we get that much better with Topic and Sorber? Or are they only helpful in 2+ years? I mean, like the thing that will make the Thunder better next year is they're just all year older. And like this is something that I've already said on this show. I'll continue to say it is like, hey, this is a young team that will just naturally improve because all these guys are in their pre-prime for the most part outside of Shea. And so like they're just going to get better. And I do absolutely think that getting Topic and Sorber is an influx of talent compared to what they had last year at those spots. So like, one, like Topic was just hurt and couldn't play. So we'll get to see what he is. McKelly and I talked a lot about him on Monday. And then Sorber, I do think can play. And so he's got to get into shape. And I think he will. And then by the time we get through training camp, I think that we'll see him some here and there. I think that he is certainly more talented than our guy Dylan Jones that was filling that spot last year. And so I do think that, yes, like we're talking about talent in general, yes, they're better. But adding those guys is not the reason why the Thunder will be much, much better next year. It's just because they're older.
Yeah, and the new names are not the selling point the way they are in other destinations right now. Like the new names in Denver and Houston give you a lot of hope. The new names in OKC are just fun, and they are going to be useful, especially like whenever J-Dub on NBA TV is talking about like their high intensive group at practices. Just adding more actual bodies in the NBA is going to help them improve their skill sets in the training camp and practices, etc. But yeah, I do think that both of them are talented enough to make an impact and to play actual NBA minutes. But the chances of repeating don't hinge on either one of those guys to me.
Yeah, no question.
Which is what most people care about when they talk about improving.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll answer some more questions from the R-Thunder AMA. And we're back after that quick break. Before we get into more questions, let me tell you about my friends at Bob Moore Kia. One, awesome people. If you just walk in the door, you're going to feel welcome at Bob Moore Kia. Two, Kias are awesome. They're awesome vehicles. I just got done driving one from here through Carlsbad. I didn't go through the caverns with it. I drove to Carlsbad with it. Drove to White Sands. Beautiful, beautiful places. Took that all the way up to southern Utah. And it was a delight. I've never felt more safe in a vehicle. Never felt more comfortable in a vehicle. Got the heated seats going. Got the nav going. feeling good about.
We're using heated seats in the desert?
Yeah, man. Just like
what? That's psycho behavior.
I've got the AC blasting, and then just for my lower back, I got the heated seats on.
Oh, this was a recovery tactic.
Yes.
Oh,
it was
icy hot over here. Is gonna...
Yeah, for real. That's for real. Kept me feeling good. I didn't feel all, just my back felt really good after I got up. So shout out to the Kia Carnival. Right now, some deals. Kia Sorento, which I think is a amazing vehicle, by the way. I drove one for a while. Would drive one again. 2025 Sorento. You can finance at 1.9 APR for 60 months. You get $500 bonus cash with the Kia Finance Assistance. You can also lease it for $329 a month for 24 months. Let's see. You get the Telluride, which is just awesome, for $379 a month lease with $3,999 due at signing. You get the Kia K4, which is a very cool car, $239 a month for 24 months. Listen, just go test drive a Kia. If you've not driven a Kia, just go there, say, hey, Down to Dunk sent me. This guy wouldn't stop telling me that I needed to test drive a Kia. Go test drive a Kia. It's amazing. And go to Bob Moore Kia to do it. It's on Northwest Expressway in between Council and Rockwell. Great people. They even got some snacks there. If you're into snacks, go get yourself a snack. Go test drive a Kia today. Thank you to the people at Bob Moore Kia for sponsoring the show. Okay. Got_your_goat says everyone's favorite interaction with a Thunder player. Kudo points for anything Poku. Right, guy, what's your favorite interaction with a Thunder player?
It's a good question. There's so many of them to choose from. I would say probably after they won the title, Oos came up to me and we were just talking, and then I was like, "Well, congrats, you're a back-to-back champ." And he said, "Huh, you're right. I am a back-to-back champ." And then he walked away because Oos was the Finals MVP of the G League, and so that was just funny. I mean, everyone was having a ball after Game 7, so probably just everyone I talked to after Game 7.
Yeah, it was the best. Yeah, J-Dub walking by me with the trophy and saying, "Hey, touch the trophy, touch the trophy."
Yeah.
Just
actually, I have one more. I don't want to bump Oos, but I have to. I forgot about this till just now. So you know that I get to these games crazy early because I also go to the doubleheader, so I'm always there. I'm basically just living the Paycom Center whenever the season's happening.
Yeah.
And Jay Will warms up before the fans get into town and everything.
Yeah.
And he warms up with Grant Gibbs, and Grant Gibbs is an electrifying passer. I mean, these guys are awesome. And so they'll just do these random passes to one another where they're kicking the ball and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable how they just pass this basketball." So I've seen them do this quite literally since Jay Will has been here. So 3 years, and they've never once messed it up. So I feel pretty safe, even though I'm in the front row.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Jay Will slams the ball on the deck, then goes behind his back with his foot to kick it, and it rockets me right in the freaking face. It was a fastball like Nolan Ryan, and Jay Will felt so terrible. And him and Grant Gibbs came over there, and they just gave me a group hug. I got hugged by Jay Will and Grant Gibbs, and it was hilarious that happened, and that they, for the first time, not only did they miss for the first time where it went out of bounds, but it hit me on the only time that they've ever missed doing these wacky passes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great story. I'm trying to think. I mean, I have many to choose from. I have many that I can't really tell on the podcast.
Yeah, those are the best stories
until a later date. Someday I'll be able to tell all. But Poku stories for my extra kudos. Poku once gave me a cookie after I interviewed him at Media Day. That is on the YouTube channel. You can go watch my interview with Poku and then watch him give me a cookie. That was very fun. I saw Poku at the airport and sat and drank my coffee and ate my oatmeal with him and his girlfriend and his brother. That was a very fun interaction with Poku. He's just a delightful young man. I'll leave it at that. I have many others, but I'll leave it. Leave you guys with some Poku. At _ not at. There's no at signs. _ Apatosaurus _ What bug does each Thunder player most remind you of? We all know Chet is a walking stick and Caruso is a fire ant. What are others? I'm not
We
prepared.
all know that. Everyone knows that.
Dude, everybody's been knowing that. Everybody's been knowing
Get
that.
with the damn program if you don't know that.
Come on. Okay. What else?
I'm not a bug guy. I'm not a bug guy. I'm going to Russell Westbrook next question. This one. I'm not a bug guy. I don't like bugs. I don't study bugs.
Okay. Apatosaurus. Like, I would love for you. One, the two bugs you made were great. Let's save this for the Fry Pod next week.
Yeah, those are bug guys.
If you have Twitter, let us answer. This is a great Fry Pod off-season question, and it will give me time to think about it. Fatty McDabs. Are you going to make a championship t-shirt? We're working on it. A Dorschen Clinic -woof. Given the league's propensity to copycat, which franchises are best and / worst positioned to emulate what OKC has showcased? For instance, player relationships, depth of the bench, coaching, and ownership styles, etc. One, the Thunder are in an outrageously unique position that no team can emulate at this point, with the depth of assets and the depth of the roster, the continuity of the ownership and the management, and now the coach. No one is really close to what the Thunder are doing at all. And so, like, trying to emulate what they have is a fool's errand, in my opinion, because I just don't think you can do it. The teams that are the closest are the San Antonio Spurs. They have Victor Wembanyama. They've drafted very well. They just got Dylan Harper. They've got a ton of young guys. That is probably the closest to it. The Houston Rockets have a very good defense. I think they have a good coach. Those are probably the two teams that I think of the most. They also have a ton of picks as well. Houston does. So, like, those teams are like the closest to it. But again, like, the Thunder have won the title. Just say it out loud to yourself. Just say the Thunder have won the title. Just say it out loud. And they're in a very unique spot with all the things that are already listed. So those are probably the two closest teams. Anybody else come to mind, right, guy?
Yeah, mine was the Spurs. I think that, to your point, though, you just look at the variables of, like, the Spurs have it if they've hit their coach, and we don't know if they've hit on their coach or not, if he's going to be their actual guy. Obviously, they hope that he is, and I think that he has a great chance to be, but, like, that's still a variable. And then the Rockets, they're close because they do some of the same stuff of, like, you mentioned, having a great coach, having a great defense. They don't have a Shea. I mean, Kevin Durant would be filling that Shea role, and he's on the wrong side of 30. He's not kind of a 1-to-1 to Shea. So, like, they have the variable of needing to find their actual number one guy for the long haul compared to just Kevin Durant. So, like, there's just too many variables across the NBA to say that one team has a path to where, if I had to pick one, I would settle on the old San Antonio Spurs. Who has the least chance is the New Orleans Pelicans. Like, the Pelicans are just, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're cooking. I don't want to know what they're cooking. It's bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. We'll go one more question, and then we will hang this up. No-Banks 2152. How much does winning a championship add value? Financially, city-state impact, name recognition, maybe better free agent odds, ability to acquire more sought players to the OKC franchise. He's got multiple questions. I think it adds a ton of value. I think, like, the recognition of the organization, I think, is big. I think part of the reason that San Antonio was able to get guys like LaMarcus Aldridge down the road was because of the infrastructure of the team and the way that they built a championship organization. I think it gives you cachet that you never had before. And so, yes, I do think, like, financially it's great for the team, for the city, the state. I think it impacts globally. People know Oklahoma City, for a positive reason. I think it's huge. And then I do think that potentially down the road, and obviously the Thunder aren't going to be dabbling in free agency for a while, because one, they have a ton of players that they're still figuring out how can we roster all these guys. And two, like, they're just in an awesome spot. And so they don't really need to use free agency at this point. But But I do think down the line, if this team wins multiple titles, and they're like, even if they only win one title and they continue to maintain the type of organizational structure they have, they're like, yeah, they're going to be able to sit down with somebody. I mean, Hartenstein was already a huge one, that they got. They had to pay a lot to get him, but the fact that he was willing to come here is it's a tip of the cap to the organization as much as it is to the amount of money they're able to pay him. So I'll let you answer this one. Is Brooks Barnhizer the next TJ McConnell or Alex Caruso?
Well, I don't think he's the next TJ. I think that he has a chance to be more in that Alex Caruso archetype. I don't think that he'll obviously reach the ceiling of Caruso, because Caruso, I mean, like you can make a strong argument that he should be a Hall of Famer right now as like a Hall of Fame role player, especially if they do fulfill this dynastic run.
You could argue
and so
that's role player in the NBA period right now. Like you could make the argument
for sure. And I don't think that Brooks Barnhizer will become that, but I do think that he'll become a really good role player and a really good defender and be someone who whoever ends up with him for the long haul, like whoever is paying him NBA money, that fan base will absolutely adore Brooks Barnhizer for the way and the style that he plays basketball. So I do think that he has a chance. I think that he would look more so in that Caruso mold, maybe that Kinrich mold of like a small ball 4 or 5 that can play. It comes down to a shot, obviously, like we've already mentioned. But as much as there's a hitch in his shot, it can fall at times for him. And I am curious about his mid-range game, because his mid-range game was his bread and butter in college, and he was electrifying as a scorer in that area. There's not a ton of mid-range volume to go around in OKC with the Thunder, but in Summer League, he has flashed an ability to get to his spots in the mid-range off the catch and then pull up for a dribble jumper, and that is still available in OKC for the Thunder, despite having so many ball-dominant players. So if that's a consistent element from him and the rim finishing keeps up, because right now he's converting at an elite clip at the rim in NBA Summer League. If those two things keep up, then it does alleviate some of the offensive concerns, and then you just lean back on his defense being really exceptional on that end of the floor. So I do think that Brooks Barnhizer will carve out a long-lasting role in the NBA and be a nice role player. But when you're comparing him to a Hall of Famer in Caruso and a guy who he's not a really McConnell guy in the skill set, it's just two kind of hard comparisons to reach for him.
Yeah. These are just white guys, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is.
Okay. Who plays the most minutes next year? AJ, Joe, or Wiggins? I think it's Wiggins pretty comfortably. But
really,
AJ can make a run for it.
I think it's AJ.
AJ's really good. AJ's a really good player. I think it makes sense.
Especially if we're talking regular season and postseason. Like, I just think that the only thing that Wiggins does better than AJ, and I'm a Wiggins guy. I've always been a Wiggins guy since before the draft.
He's
but
good.
The only thing that Wiggins does better than AJ is the self-creation offense.
Yeah.
Getting a shot for himself at all three levels. But every other facet of the game, AJ's just better. He's better defensively. He's better playmaking-wise. He's better getting to the rim. He's just better at playing off the ball as a kind of stationary catch-and-shoot guy and coming off screens and hitting catch-and-shoot jumpers. Like, he's just better at those different areas. Now, the one thing that Wiggins is better at is something that I think he's not only better than AJ at, I think that he's your third best shot creator right now off the dribble, kind of getting to his spots. And that's going to be incredibly valuable for the secondary unit, especially if they do want to massage some of the workload for J-Dub and Shea and Chet and have those guys maybe not staggering as much, not putting a ton of load onto J-Dub, for example, of leading the secondary unit. But when all cards are on the table, I do think that it's going to be tough, as we saw, for Wiggins to play in postseason minutes with his lack of defense and his lack of ability to scale up, to where if the half-court offense is still stalling in the playoffs, you would inject AJ into that because he plays really good defense and he's a creator. And I think that he'd get the nod over Topic in that fact of two guys who can help the half-court offense. I think AJ is just more ready to play a 16-game playoff format than Topic is. So all those things factoring in is why I would pick AJ, but Wiggins is still going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think I agree with all that. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Thank you to Rye Guy for filling in with me here. Really appreciate that. Make sure that you go follow his work, go listen to Locked on Thunder, and read him at Thunder on SI. And listen, if you like this combination, go subscribe to the OKC Dream Team, patreon.com/OKC Dream Team. You can get more content like this. I hope everybody's doing great, and we'll talk to you guys again on Friday.